this past week. Our boy Kyrie, doing what he does best, is creating drama where none exists. Hints that he's not going to talk to the media since he's going to let the work on the court speak for itself. Then in classic,
he's never Kyrie, on the court.
And then in classic Kyrie form, barks back at the media and says it's a made-up controversy. That's not what I mean. But he's still not talking. He issued a statement, and that's that. I have a developing opinion on this. It's really easy to bash Kyrie, but I want to hear your take here. Again, I think it was a big collective eye roll from everybody from who covered him, as we did the couple years he was here. He just it might not be a bad thing that he's not talking.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, man. I really do. I'm not gonna speculate and say that the Brooklyn Nets are in on this, but if you're the Brooklyn Nets, I'm happy about this. Great. No, maybe we don't see any tirades because let's face it, guys. We're talking about reporters that are speaking through, on a Zoom. That maybe they have a little more confidence to ask some of the more ballsy questions that'll really get Kyrie going, the ones that'll really trigger him. And then all of a sudden we're going through, tirade after tirade, week after week. It'd be very distracting for a team to really push for the NBA title,
Yeah.
So for me, this just wasn't surprising to get some ridiculous statement out of Kyrie at Media Day. I think the NBA, and I don't know if they will, but I think the NBA should fine him if he doesn't speak to the media. And that's not because, I feel like I'm part of the media and he should have to talk. But listen, part of your job as an NBA player, of which you make millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars a year, is doing the media thing, doing the PR for the league, for the team, being an ambassador, speaking out, that's all part of what you're getting paid for. You're a Brooklyn Net. You go up there to the podium, you speak, whether it's before the game, after the game, at a community event, in good times and in bad. That's part of your job as a Brooklyn Net, as a leader of the team, as a member of that organization, as a player in this league. And for you to just say, I'm not going to talk, well, now you're putting the onus on your teammates, so who are supposed to look to you to lead, and now you're gonna go 3 for 20 and then dip out of the game and have LeVert speak for you after the game. How is that fair for him? But it's unfortunate that's how Kyrie thinks. He thinks the media twists what he says. Media doesn't twist what he says. He says what he says, and the media reports on what he says, and then it ends up being true more times than not. I mean, media said he didn't have a good relationship with LeBron James. He didn't like LeBron James. Comes out they didn't. LeBron pretty much just said that a couple of days ago. Media said he wanted to, join with Kevin Durant. He said, no, that's not true. And then what did he do? He joined a team with Kevin Durant, 2 max deals.
Not only did he say it wasn't true, he lectured all of us for speculating.
He lectured all of us that is the
you just
internet
make
real
stuff
to you?
up. No,
is the internet real life to you? Yeah. I mean, this guy, one thing after another. I mean, it's unfortunate that that's how he wants to be. And that's pretty much all I have to say about it. I wonder if the NBA will just do anything, or they'll just sit in his hands and let him run the show.
Well, it's a classic debate. As soon as it happens, both sides of it. You're going to have one side that's going to say, a bunch of people, it's his job, he's got to talk, it's part of the deal. If you don't like it, do something else for a living.
Sure.
And then there'll be others who'll say he doesn't owe the media anything. He can do whatever the hell he wants. And if he doesn't feel like talking, he doesn't have to talk. And I mean, the second side is wrong. I mean, it is part of the game. But ultimately, at first I was like, F this guy again. But at the end of the day, it really is better if he doesn't speak ever.
That's not true. How is that true? How has it ever been true, though?
Because
every athlete in the history of sports has spoken to the media, whether or not they've been good at it or not.
Matter.
He has a voice, though. He can use his voice for a lot of good if he chooses.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing.
He does stuff off the court. He does other things.
I feel like there's a loophole here, right? He's gonna say, he's gonna put up these messages or whatever he plans to do, and instead of fielding questions, just putting up a response, he's going to say, well, technically I spoke to the media, you can't find me. I mean, I'm sure there's some sort of loophole here.
Whether that or not, here's where it gets into an issue. If he keeps going out and shooting friggin' 4 for 27 and turning the ball over or having a bunch of shitty games and doesn't hold himself accountable by talking and answering questions, and then other teammates have to ask about, get asked over and over again, what's up with Kyrie? Or if he looks sullen and people are trying to read his body language, he can create massive distractions for his teammates. That's always been my thing. It's not it's the job. You're creating a drama and a situation where your teammates are constantly going to have to be asked, hey, what's going on with Kyrie? Since he won't talk to us, I'll ask you. And it's not just a Kyrie specific thing. You see this all the time when stars dart out because they don't want to face the music after a locker room. And there's been past like Red Sox teams I've covered that would do this, and they would leave 2 to 3 people to answer all of the questions and be like, well, what do you think's going on with this guy? And it'd be like, I don't know, freaking ask him. You know, like you just get so tired. Like, I don't know. I'm not Kyrie.
I don't know.
I'm not Kyrie. Ask Kyrie. You know, like that's the only. Say, that's the only place it can become an issue. Otherwise, every time he talks, he puts his foot in his mouth. He creates distractions. It's probably better for him if he doesn't talk. It's better for him.
Probably better. It's probably better for him. Yeah, but I mean, it's probably better for a lot of guys who still talk. I mean, you think Kevin Garnett really wanted to talk to the media half the time? No, and a lot of times he didn't. But a lot of times he also did, and he was accountable, and he probably said some stuff. I'm not picking on Kevin Garnett. I'm just using him as an example. Any players probably said something that they regret at some point, and you know what? You move on. Maybe you apologize. Maybe you don't, and you go on to the next thing. And you go into the next game. But if you're gonna just avoid, and things are gonna pile up, things are gonna just start to add up and get worse and worse until they boil over.
Yeah, there's always a point on both sides for me with this. Would I like to see him out there? Sure. You as a reporter, you like to have access to these guys. I'm not crying that he's not out there. You can always find different ways to do it. I think where he's gotten himself into trouble in these press settings is talking about the younger players on these teams. We've seen it in Boston now. We've seen it in Brooklyn. I don't think it overly plays well. Didn't here in Boston for sure when he started talking about what these young players need to do, what they need to learn, especially when we look at Kyrie's career and say, what has he done to move the needle on a team besides playing with LeBron? You know, we have 3 circumstances now where he didn't move it all that much last year as well in Brooklyn. So, again, I'm going to be focusing on Kyrie's play. I don't really care what he says. I'm not getting caught up in every little comment.
I actually care more what he says because it's entertaining.
Well, I think this team's a lot more consequential than you guys do.
I want to see them implode, and part of them imploding is Kyrie being friggin' cuckoo bananas. You know, like that's the fun part.
I think we've seen in NBA history, and we saw with Kevin Durant in 2019. Things weren't right in that locker room. Kevin Durant took a break from talking in the media that year. It wasn't the cleanest situation.
Friggin' human being in the history of mankind.
I'm just saying, you can have a locker room that's a little messed up that has the talent to do it. And this could all be part of the plan with Kyrie, too.
Yeah, the Celtics locker room wasn't awesome in 2008.
They talked about this.
Yeah, so I have high expectations for this next team.
Rondo, Ray, they had some issues.
They worry me a bit down there in Brooklyn. Like if Durant, I keep saying this, if Durant's right, it doesn't matter what Kyrie's saying. It doesn't matter what Steve Nash is drawing up on the sideline. If Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant, this team's winning the East. Like there's no way around it. And there might be issues with younger players here. They might make a dramatic trade. I think that's the biggest risk to what's going on there in Brooklyn. If they make a trade that ends up sinking them.
Way worse if they trade some of these players superstar bubble. What a mess that would be. I
agree.
They're much better off holding on to that younger talent.